Hello, and welcome back to the Pure Nintendo Podcast. My name is Jemma, and with me this week I have my good friend Kirk. Welcome back, Kirk.
It is good to be here, and once again, nobody else joined me.
Yes, I know. It's a thing. It's so weird.
Everyone's mad because I didn't join the Pure Nintendo game night on Wednesday.
Yes, I think that's exactly right. So, yes, for shame. So this week we're going to spend some time talking about the new Mario Kart DLC that dropped during the week. And as Kirk mentioned, we did have a team game night that that you weren't part of. For some reason, I think wrestling might have interfered with that.
Yes, as I mentioned in my review that went live this week for AEW Fight Forever, I am a dedicated fan, and it happened to coincide with AEW Dynamite tonight.
Fair enough. You can't argue with
my
that.
allegiances are strong.
That's fine. We'll let it slide this once. But I know you've at least had your own time with the tracks. So let's talk about what we've experienced. And so, speaking of the game night, so Justin, Trevor, and I, and Katie, we all jumped online a couple of days ago, checked out the tracks, had a blast, actually. We always do. And I know Trev wanted me to mention
Yeah,
that
it didn't sound like he had a blast.
Not sure what he means, but he said I hustled him or them somehow. I think it's just because I won. I think that's all. It's just, and yeah, to be fair, I don't usually win. Justin is usually the winner of these little gaming nights that we have. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
Yes. Anyway, so we went through, we did all 8 of the new tracks, and we did, what did we do? We did single player first round. We did 4, and then we did teams the second round, and Katie and I were on a team, and Justin and Trevor were on a team, and it was Justin and Trevor were doing really well. They were winning for the first 3 tracks, and then the last track I won. I think it must have been, oh no, this was after the 8 tracks. We did all 8 tracks separately, then we just did random tracks, and Katie and I came back and we actually tied with Justin and Trev. So that was probably a good outcome. I would think. Nice. The opposite of a hustle. I mean, you can't ask for something more pleasant than a tie unless you're really competitive and you just really want to win.
That's true. That's true, especially if you're going up against the editors.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But I am writing up my thoughts on the tracks for the website at the moment. So it should hopefully be up before this episode airs, actually, but I'm writing it over the weekend. And, well, we could talk about our favorite tracks. Do you have any that stood out to you?
Well, I didn't the Cherry Cup. So I didn't do any of those in there. I think I'm going to say that my favorite that I played was Daisy Cruiser. And the reason for that is because I don't play a lot of Mario Kart. My son is into it and he plays it a lot and does very well. So every now and again I'll hop on. But it struck me how long it's been, despite how long it's been since I played that, how much I remembered it. Like the moment, the moment the opening cinematic starts that shows you what's going to happen in the track, and you see those tables kind of sliding around as the boat rocks. I thought, oh man, I do remember this. I remember all of this, and it comes back to you really quickly. So I got a kick out of that, and enjoyed the race.
Yeah, that's probably a highlight for me too, Daisy Cruiser, and I definitely remember playing that back in the day. And yeah, the tables, I even mentioned that to the guys when we were playing. The tables and chairs move across. I don't know why.
It's not a very good cruiser they're on.
No, not really.
The waves didn't look like they were that bad, so I don't know why we have that much movement in the dining room, but it makes for a fun race.
It does, yes. Only in the Mushroom Kingdom would that happen. And I guess I'm a little biased because Daisy is my go-to character, so anything named after her is also something I'm kind of I enjoy. Yes, so Daisy Cruiser. And I think, and I mentioned this in previous reviews of previous waves, that there haven't been a lot of Double Dash, like the GameCube version of Mario Kart. There haven't been a lot of tracks taken from that game. So it's nice to see another Double Dash track in the mix. And you would have recognized Athens, maybe not recognized it, but at least remembered me talking about that on Mario Kart Tour a few months ago. Do you remember?
Yes, I do
Yes.
remember because I remember thinking at the time I should probably go ahead and grab Mario Kart Tour, and I haven't done that. So I did not recognize that track, but I did know the name
Mm.
from our discussion.
Yeah. So I think that was the only tour track I had any experience with. I don't think in the Cherry Cup there's Los Angeles and Vancouver, and I don't recall having played them before on tour. But yeah, Athens I definitely have and enjoyed it. And that was I think no, Trev and Justin had so all three, four of us, including Katie, sorry, four of us had played these tracks on our own before we got together and played them, or at least some of them. So I played with my kids the night they came out because we just couldn't wait. And it was a bit of a midweek. We don't usually play a lot during the week, during school weeks, but this was an exception because it was Mario Kart. So, so I had practiced them once each, and I used a Wiggler, one of the new characters,
Right.
and performed terribly. I don't know if it was because he's a bigger character than I'm used to. Like I usually use Baby Daisy, and I just was. And sorry. So I used Wiggler the character in the Wiggler mobile because why not, right? I just had to see how Wiggler would look in his own branded car. And my son and I did this. We both did this because we just had to. But I was really bad. So Harrison, my other son, he won easily. Like he easily won, and I'm usually the winner. So I was a bit like, oh, blaming Wiggler, basically. And then when Justin, I think he was using Wiggler, and I decided to use Kamek, one of the other new characters, and found that a lot easier. So maybe Wiggler's not the right character for me. I don't know. Did you try any of the new characters?
Well, I did. Yeah, I didn't use Wiggler. My son Sam used Wiggler, and he
Mm-hmm.
won. But that's not expected or unexpected in my household. But
Right.
yeah, maybe it's because he is taller, but also he's moving a little bit too. So maybe his
Mm,
movement gives the illusion that you're properly turning when you really you're not.
could be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It could
So
be. Yeah, it's tricking your brain into thinking there's movement when there is no movement.
yeah. I did enjoy the fact that he went red, like he got angry when he got hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice touch. And we had when we first started playing, the kids and I chose our characters, and Hayden and I said, wow, do you think he's going to get angry? Because that would be actually really cool if they did that. Because, when you jump on Wiggler, he doesn't, in the Mario platforms, he doesn't die. He just turns red and angry. So I like that they did that. I thought that was a nice touch. But yeah, sorry, did you have something?
Oh
No?
no, it was like a lot of real drivers out on the highway.
Yeah. Yes.
Getting red and angry all the time.
Yeah, well, especially in Los Angeles, probably. I don't know. It seems like
Or
traffic over
Vancouver or
there.
Athens.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, if you're driving through Athens where there's columns of ancient ruins, I mean, it's pretty hard to navigate. So, is that is that giving us an unfair, um, I don't know, perception of what it's like to be in Athens, or any of these cities?
Yeah, we're going to go over there and actually drive around. It's just going to be other cars and stoplights. Like this
Yeah.
isn't nearly as much fun. I've been lied to.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's so funny. So I guess the other two in the Feather Cup were Moonview Highway and Squeaky Clean Sprint. So Moonview Highway was from the Wii, and that's a really fun kind of that's another one that's a bit more real life actually. It is on a highway, so you are amongst other cars, even though they do happen to be giant bombs, which is not super realistic, but it's certainly fun. Did you hit any of those giant bombs?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're drifting along and think you're doing fine, and then suddenly there's a bomb in front of you, and it's like one of those moments where there's nothing you can do except hit it. So
yeah.
you just kind of resign yourself to your fate and try to recover.
Yeah, it's really nice, that one, though. It's like a nighttime, it's like set at night, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's, well, hence Moonview, I guess. But the surprise, well, not, I mean, we knew this was in the mix, but it was a surprise when it was announced that Squeaky Clean Sprint was a completely new track, which is awesome. I love getting new content. Like a lot of us haven't played the tour tracks, or maybe we've missed out on Super Circuit or something like that. But for everyone, this is completely new. Squeaky Clean Sprint. How did you go with that one?
Uh, well, it didn't. it didn't strike me, like for a dedicated fan because like Athens Dash was new to me also. And although I'd
True.
played Moonview Highway before, I didn't remember that one as well as I remember Daisy Cruiser. So
Hmm.
new or not, they all kind or most of them feel somewhat new to me. But I
True.
liked it. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a bit chaotic. You drive through a pipe, I think, at some point, which I found really hard to navigate, like down a sink or something.
Yeah, but the first few times you play it, you're not sure where to go, where to turn, where to
Mm.
look. So yeah,
Hmm.
it does throw you.
Yeah.
But you picked it up maybe by the third lap.
But it looks amazing. It looks
Yeah.
really cool. And there's so much to see. And this is the case with a lot of these tracks, but I think this one in particular has just a lot going on around it, like in the periphery, that you can spot or not. And each time you play it, you might see something different. Like, there's like toweling on the ground that looks really like Mario colors and things like that. And I think there's a soapy area that's slippery, and there's bubbles, and there's the toilet. And during the first lap, you just kind of jump over it, I think. But then the second and third laps, there's water spouting out of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which gives you a nice boost. And there's a shortcut on the right. Um, yeah, and the pipes. Did you see there's like an engagement ring down there hiding in the depths?
I didn't, and I also missed the shortcut.
Yeah, yeah. So there's quite a few things going on. I think that's one of the other things, or one of the other elements of Mario Kart that I love is that it's not just a straight racer. I mean, there's the items, okay, which are obviously fun and chaotic. There's the shortcuts, which are fun to discover and pull off because some of them are quite tricky. And there's just those little Easter eggs in the background that make them, I don't know, kind of special. Excuse me, for I guess Mario fans at least, like just seeing different characters. Or I think there was some sort of maybe a Yoshi egg or something in that squeaky clean sprint. I thought I saw something like that. Yeah. There's just always something to look out for, especially when it's a new track, or even one you haven't played for a while. And especially when it's been redone for the Switch. It's like, what's changed? What's new? Oh, look at that, kind of thing. So it's very distracting and eye opening, I suppose. Do you agree with that?
Yes, yeah, I do, and I also think it's great that if even if you had played this before, like you mentioned, you're looking for new things, and they'll put them in
Mm.
there. It's like kind of like a little reward for people who have been playing these games all along,
Yeah,
and it keeps
yeah.
things interesting. You'll play it. It's like when you're listening to a song and you've heard it 100 times, and then you put on good headphones, and suddenly you hear things you
Yeah,
didn't hear before.
that's true.
Yeah, the same thing happens here. Like, I never noticed this. Why did I never see that?
That's a pretty good analogy. I like that actually. Because yeah, I do have the headphones I'm using right now actually are my good ones that I don't tend to use day to day. They're just a bit big, but music sounds awesome in them. So
Yeah.
yeah, which is cool. So I use it for travel. Well, the Cherry Cup. So you haven't experienced these ones. Did you see them in action?
No, I didn't.
No. Okay. I'd say the highlight probably is Sunset Wilds, simply because those Mario Kart Super Circuit tracks of the Game Boy Advance version of Mario Kart, they always look spectacular on the Switch. Like they've been revamped, um, to a crazy amount of detail because the Game Boy Advance title, I think, was that the second or third title. It's like an early Mario Kart title, and obviously the graphics are more simpler back then, 16-bit ish, I think it was Game Boy Advance. And so they do a really good job, enhancing these for the Switch. And there's these puddles on the track that look just splendid. They're like reflective. I don't know if it's meant to be mud or water. I thought it was mud, but it didn't really slow you down. You kind of splash through, but they just look beautiful. I don't know how they do it, but it just looks lovely. So it's a really, really nice looking track and very fast, lots of turns, and there's little shy guys in the middle with little like construction worker hats or something who are just in the way, and you're like, get out of the way, shy guy.
You can't hit them, can you?
You can, and it's
Oh,
it's not good to hit them because then you stop. So it's like an object that's blocking you. And in fact, I think Justin was leading in one of those races, and he hit a shy guy in front of me. I was behind him, and he hit a shy guy, and I overtook him. So it was kind of to my benefit in that case. So which is quite funny. But yeah, the one thing I did, and to be honest, I didn't notice this at the time, but Sunset Wilds, the original track, has a sun that sets during the game, like during the 3 laps. So you end up playing the last lap in the dark, like at nighttime, and they've removed that from the
Oh,
Switch
wow.
version.
I
Yeah,
wonder why.
I don't know.
Because that
I
sounds
don't know.
nice.
It does, and I had completely forgotten that was even a thing until I saw the internet kind of, freaking out a little bit about it and saying, "Why? Why is it not happening?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I'd forgotten all about that." So not sure, because you'd think if they could do it for the Game Boy Advance, they could definitely do it for the Switch.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll bring it in an update or something. I think there was, I'm not sure if it was Wave 4, there was a Wii track, or it might have been Wave 3. It was the Coconut Mall track.
Mm-hmm.
And when they released that, there's in the Wii version at the end of the lap, like the before you hit the finish line, there's like these cars that go back and forth, and you have to kind of dodge them, and they're moving. And when they released it, and we played it for the first time, they didn't move. They just sat there statically, not moving. And it's like, oh, well, they're supposed to move. It makes it a bit trickier when they're moving to dodge a moving object, right? And people complained, and they did add that in. Now they move. So whether or not they will add in a sunset, but it just seems like a weird omission, right? Like it's called Sunset Wilds. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if some of the other graphic enhancements somehow made that more difficult to pull off, like shading issue with more objects or something. But well, you would think that they would have been able to figure out a way.
You would think so. Yes, I was surprised. Well, as I said, I didn't actually even notice because I'd forgotten completely that that was even a thing. But I was surprised when I recalled it and I read about it and thought, yeah, that's a good point. Why miss that? It's like it'd be like taking out the train on the, what's that desert track from the Nintendo 64 that they put on one of the waves. There's a desert and there's a train that runs through the desert, and if it sometimes it goes across the track and you have to stop or you hit the train. It would be like taking the train out of that level and just having the track there with no train. It would be pointless, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's the feature of that track. So I'm not sure, very odd. But Cooper Cape was always a favorite too. That was a Wii track, and so that's in the Cherry Cup. And I know Justin was excited about that one. Unfortunately, he's not here to talk about it. But this is a water-based track where you kind of, lots of jumps and there's waterfalls in the background, and you kind of go underwater, but you're actually in a pipe, like a big pipe, and you can see the ocean kind of around you with fish, the cheap swimming around. It's really cool. It reminds me of that Jaws movie. Was it like Jaws 2 or something where they're do you remember this?
I do. That was Jaws 3 you're talking
Jaws 3?
about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. I always expected some giant something to burst through or try to burst through.
Oh yeah, just bite right through the glass and attack your car. Yeah.
It'd be cool if they did something, like what would you call it? Not like an outtake or something, like an alternate version of Mario Kart where things like that happen. And you just
yeah, it could be a PD Piranha. He's got a big enough mouth to come in and break that glass, the tube.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was good. And I just don't know what I was doing right to win these races against Justin, Trev, and Katie the other day. I really don't. I'm trying to think whether I was distracting them with talk of work or I don't know. And the new characters, I think, threw us off a little bit too. But it was so much fun, honestly. And I do wonder what's next. I say we've got one more wave to go, wave 6, which is due out before the end of the year. So we've got that to look forward to. And I did notice, and we kind of touched on this last week, I think, when we were getting excited about the upcoming DLC, that there's a couple of spots left for characters. So in this round, we've got Wiggler, PD Piranha, and Kamek, and there's 2 little question marks left. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, did you have any thoughts on who that could be or who you might like it to be?
I'd have to say who I'd like it to be because I am in no way, shape, or form qualified to say who I think it will be.
Yeah.
There are a lot of characters out there I don't know, and I don't have a history of getting these things right. But considering that they have just a few characters from games outside the Mario world,
Hmm.
I would love if one of the drivers was Olimar from Pikmin,
Mm-hmm. That would
which
be
would have
cool.
been a good option for this round
It
since
actually
Pikmin
would.
is coming out soon.
Yes.
But I think because he's the right size,
Hmm.
I think they could give him a cool little car. And if they do offer any sort of new weapons, he could have little Pikmin
Hmm.
that he could throw and attach them to the other cars, which then bang away on the driver of the car or something for a little bit until they
Yes.
lose control and the Pikmin fly off, and then
Ah,
you
that
get
would.
to start up again.
Yeah, I would love that. I think that'd be great.
Oh, and they could put in a new Pikmin map,
Oh yeah, yeah.
driving around through those the little Pikmin planet. I don't know what's that. What's the
Hmm.
planet called? I can't remember all of a sudden. I guess it
Uh,
changes.
is it start with an H? Maybe.
Yeah,
Like,
or is that the company that they work
oh
for?
yeah, that could be the
Yeah,
company. Yeah, good point.
Hakatate Freight.
That's it. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's who I would like to see for one of them. I think that would be a fun addition, and most people I think at this point are familiar enough to Pikmin to
Mm.
know how to work with Olimar.
Yeah, totally. That seems like a missed opportunity now that you mention it, being that it came out a week before Pikmin 4.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm disappointed, I think. That was
I'm sorry. Yeah, there I am bringing everyone down with what could have
Oh.
been.
Yeah, thanks, Kirk. No, I mean, it would have been good timing, and you're right, they have had other characters from other franchises, like Link is obviously there,
Yeah,
and I
and
think they've got
the
the
Splatoon.
yeah, the Splatoon, the pair of is it 2 or 3 Splatoon people?
I think
I think
two.
2, yeah. Oh, yeah, one of each, and then, Animal Crossing have a few,
Yes.
I think. Yeah. So Pikmin would seem like a pretty good choice.
Yeah.
Maybe Kirby would be another choice, I suppose, because he's a
Yeah.
pretty well-known Nintendo character. Oh, well, there's 2 spots left. I mean, they could still do that. It could be if there's 2 left. I wonder if they'd theme them like Olimar and what, like Louis. No, you wouldn't do Louis, would you?
Yeah, I think they'd be too similar. Maybe
Yeah,
Brittany.
yeah, maybe Brittany.
Your
Yes,
kids would make you be Brittany every race.
yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you could you do? I suppose you could do Ochi, the dog,
Oh,
or you could
yeah.
do the Pikmin are too small, really, aren't they? You could do like a bunch of Pikmin driving together, like one's hitting the accelerator, one's hitting the brakes, and one's doing the steering. Like in a
That would be fun. That would be fun to watch. Put them on a
yeah,
motorcycle and see if they can pull
yeah.
that off.
Yes, that. I'm not sure how that would work. That would be cool. That would be cool to see, though. Oh, so many options. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they still did that, but maybe that's a bit of a long shot. I don't know. If they didn't do it in July, would they do it later in the year?
Oh,
Who
they could.
knows?
Maybe they wanted to wait to see for people to get familiar with the world and the characters before they
Mm,
added them
yeah.
to
And then,
market.
I
But
mean, if they released it in sort of what, October, November kind of thing, or even December, people are seeing these characters in Mario Kart, it might make them want to buy the game for the holiday
yeah,
season or something. I don't know. Thinking marketing strategies. Yeah. Well, that's a really good option, though. I love that. Um, I'm trying to think who else would be good, and I'm not familiar enough with Tour because I know I think is it Kamek was in Tour, I believe. I think so. They obviously they have a lot of characters in Tour, like so many. And I think I mentioned when we talked about Tour a few months ago, there's lots of variations as well. Like you can get Toad with his little, I don't know, what was it? It was a tourist Toad, so he had his little backpack and all that sort of thing. And you can get different versions of Daisy and Peach and Mario and heaps of people. One that I would like to see, and I think I may or may not have mentioned this before, but I've definitely thought this before, is Wart from Super Mario Brothers 2.
oh
You remember the big the villain, I suppose, of that game, as opposed to
yes,
not Bowser in this one. Um, Wart's been missing for all these years. I don't know why he's not had cameos in anything. Was he that unpopular? I don't know. It's just
yeah, I guess would you consider? I guess I wouldn't consider him a mainline person. He may be more on the fringe.
yeah, definitely. Yes. No, he's definitely a fringe character. Who else? Yeah, I don't know. I suppose time will tell. Yeah, there's a whole universe of characters I suppose they could choose. Like Petey Piranha, I think he's been in a previous game, but I mean, I had forgotten he existed, so he seems a little out there to me. But I have to say, Kamek was really good to use. I really enjoyed Kamek. I think he's kind of a good balance of being a small character or smaller character. I don't think he's quite as small as the baby characters. Um, but he just looks cool. I love his little blue robes. And I don't recall him making any Magic Cooper noises, though, like swishing his wand or anything like that. You know, like a Wiggler turns red. I don't think there were any Kamek Easter eggs, but I may have missed it in the frantic action of the game. So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't use it, so I can't say for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, it's fun to speculate. Excuse me. And then we'll have more to enjoy before the year is out. And I suppose that leaves us with more speculation or hopes or whatever we want to call it for, you know, what will happen after Wave 6, because, you know, this has been fantastic having, you know, 2 years worth of DLC, I suppose, over, you know, every 3 or 6 months. And it's really breathed life into this. Well, I mean, the game was already popular and we play it, you know, we love it anyway, as I'm sure your kids do.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just great to have fresh content, fresh characters. And once the last wave is over, I think I said last week I'll be a bit sad about that, but it does leave, I suppose, room for something new in the Mario Kart universe. Do you have any thoughts or ideas or hopes or dreams for what you would like to see? And I know you're not a huge Mario Kart fan, but even speculating about what could happen. I mean, I think we hinted at this last week about whether it's related to a new Switch or not, but, you know, where can the series go from here?
Yeah, I guess my thought would be it does seem to be wrapping up at right around the same point where the rumors of these you know, the new Switch are kind of kicking into overdrive. Now that tends to happen a lot over the past 3
Yes.
or 4 years. Those have kicked into overdrive.
Totally.
But yeah, so I bet that this is probably it for the Switch version of that, and then there's going to be something brand new for the next Nintendo console. And what Mario Kart becomes, I'm assuming, would probably tie in with whatever the angle is going to be on that system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And who knows what that will be. You'd think
Yeah.
that they'll keep the hybrid. I imagine, you know, everyone's sort of talking about a Switch 2 or a Super Switch or whatever. I think given the success of the Switch, they would probably keep that hybrid model alive.
I would expect.
Mm.
I think that just did so well for them, and you see other people trying to kind of mimic it now. What's that?
Mm.
The Steam console thing or whatever it is, where you can
Mm-hmm.
play your Steam games now. You know, in a Switch-like device.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to bet that they would, but you know, with Nintendo, they always are way ahead of me in
Yeah.
what they're going to offer and what people expect. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy just to sit tight and wait and see what comes my way.
Yeah, me too. Um, you know, I think there's been talk, and I didn't realize other people had. Of course, people do. There's like how many billions of people in the world, but so for not two of them to have the same idea. But I had always thought it would be cool if Mario Kart became like an open world, or not became. I don't want it to change. Mario Kart needs to still have, you know, Grand Prix with, you know, cups and races and new tracks, etc. That has to be part of it. But it would be fun to see what they could do with a bit more of an open world component to the game, where, you know, you drive around to like the Mushroom Kingdom, you go to like a toad village and meet some toads there and maybe race them or whatever, or you go exploring into the countryside, or you go to like Bowser's Dominion or wherever you know, you could go anywhere you want. As long as you'd have to have the racing as the main part of it, but I don't know if that's too much to ask, or if that would even not break it, but make it too much in terms of the fan base, because people like that they can just jump in and play Mario Kart. I think this would be more
Yeah,
of a single player experience, perhaps. But
I
Yeah.
wonder, and I think that might be a good idea, having like a Mario Kart adventure kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
because they could do it, and it's just a very simple example, but do it like kind of like the movie, where
Mm-hmm.
there was definitely a Mario Kart scene in that movie, where if you were doing an adventure, then here's the race. So obviously it would the movie of course focused more on the adventure, and then there's just one Mario Kart scene.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, moving from village to village, and getting in these races as part of a bigger story, and then but also making it so those races are available for traditional Mario Kart play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and anybody can access it, and pick it up and just race and not bother with the story if they don't want to.
Yeah.
But maybe playing through the story gets you bonuses, or that's how you unlock cars or
True. Mm-hmm.
characters or something, or even some tracks. Because I think that would be more fun for single players.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, of course, you can go online and play, but if you don't have people with you, you've got a little more incentive to kind of play through on your own instead of gathering a group of people for a challenge.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, maybe when you meet someone, like you meet, I don't know, Bowser or someone, and then you beat them, then you unlock the character, like you said, that could work. So that'd be a fun way to unlock new characters. And then you could have a million characters. Like you could have your Wart and your Olimar. I don't know. Actually, would Olimar fit into that? I don't know if he would.
I,
He'd-
I don't know if they'd want to go into a whole Pikmin world in a
yeah.
Mario Kart game as opposed to just dropping a guy in, but
Yeah.
there are
He just
ways.
he must have crash landed in the Mushroom Kingdom or something.
Another crash.
Yet again. Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, time will tell, and I think we're pretty happy to wait and see. We're definitely not yearning for content at the moment. We definitely have something amazing, and it's not over yet. We still have another wave to go, and this current wave, yes, is amazing. So, if listeners haven't played it yet, I mean, check it out. My thoughts, as I said, will be up online over the next, well, before this, probably around the time this episode launches. So you'll be able to jump onto the Pure Nintendo website and see what I thought of each and every track. So, I mean, are we done with Mario Kart, do you think? Should we move on?
Yeah, let's
Let's
move
move
on.
on.
We'll
Okay.
park the car and move on.
Park the cart. Cool. So let's talk about some other games we're playing at the moment. And I know Trevor's a pinball fan. Are you also a pinball fan?
I am.
Cool.
I have a full size authentic Flash Gordon, of course, pinball machine
Wow.
working. That
Nice.
I just had it serviced about a year or two ago to get it all up to snuff. Yeah, so
Oh, that's
I
amazing.
been a pinball fan for a while.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Okay. Well, yeah, then you definitely qualify as a pinball fan. Yes. Do you want to tell us about Zen Pinball FX?
Yeah, and this one was confusing because Zen is a company that's been making pinball sims for a long time now. They're very good at it,
Mm-hmm.
and they gotten up to Zen Pinball FX3, and then
Right.
suddenly they released Zen Pinball FX. They just went backwards, so we didn't know exactly what this was. We got some codes for a few games. Um, and it seems that they've updated the engine, and for some reason, instead of going with FX4, they went back to FX.
Right.
And it's a kind of like a new, I believe they're using the Unreal Engine now for the
Okay.
simulations. And there's some good things about it, but there are also some bad things about it. And Trevor and I were talking about this quite extensively, so I wish he could have been on to back me up on some of this.
Mm.
But the one of the, and I'll have a full review up on this soon. They gave us codes for 4 sets of tables, some of which you get up to 3 tables, and some of them just one. I got the Godzilla tables, of
Cool.
course.
Yes.
So there are 3 in that. There's King Kong, there's Godzilla, and then there's Godzilla versus King Kong.
Right.
Um, and before I go into those real quickly, most of it I'll save for the review.
Mm-hmm.
If you have Pinball FX3 and you bought all the additional tables, because you get the game, you get Pinball FX for free. You can
Mm-hmm.
download that on your Switch now, and a couple tables come with it. You're good to go. And
Okay.
then you can buy additional tables or table sets,
Right.
if you want to. And they've got just a ton of them in FX3. They had 2 of my personal favorites. There's one called Attack from Mars that I love in the arcades, and I love it there. And my favorite game ever is called Theater of Magic. And they have that one. So I
Cool.
played those quite a bit. But if you bought them for FX3, you do not get them with FX. So if you
Oh,
upgrade to the new engine for these games, then you've got to buy all the games again.
right.
And at first I was kind of put off by that, but then I thought I don't know that I really need to be, because it's not like FX wipes out FX3.
Right. Okay.
You still have that. You still have those games and you can play those games. Um, it's just from this point forward, if you want to buy new games, you're going to download the free Pinball FX and you're going to buy the games for that. So it's kind of like when you open it, it's a little bit like an arcade. You can go in, you can see your tables, you pick the ones you want to play. There are different challenges and such. So you're going to have to bounce between software if you want to play different tables that are in one or the other.
Right. Okay. I mean, it's good that it doesn't override it, I guess. You still have access to both. But was that the case
And
with the previous versions, like Pinball FX1 and
no,
2?
I'm pretty sure that I'm fairly confident. It's hard for me to remember back, but like Pinball FX2, if you got Pinball FX3, you could still play your other games.
Right.
It wasn't such a drastic update.
Yeah. Okay.
But I could be wrong. So I'll have to research that a little bit. And Trevor actually mentioned that he thinks the graphics in FX are not as good as FX3. He says they're blurrier. I couldn't confirm that because I don't have Pinball FX3 on the Switch anymore. I actually got Zen Pinball Party on the iPad via Apple Arcade. And that gave me all the tables because Apple Arcade, everything is free in it because I'm subscribing to Apple Arcade. So I had them all there.
Right.
And I don't know if this is going to get me in trouble or not, but I think the iPad is a much better system for playing pinball than the Switch because you could just turn it and hold it in portrait mode. And the whole game's right there. So it seems bigger, even though it's on a smaller screen because it's right in front of your face. Right. And you're just tapping the screen for the buttons. It works very well.
Cool.
Now, one thing I do like about it on the Switch is that if you are playing in handheld mode, you can set it so you can turn the Switch into portrait mode.
Oh, yeah.
And play it so you're using the big screen for the length of the table, as opposed to the wasted space on the left and right if you were in horizontal mode.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a nice touch. But he said it's blurrier. I have to look at it a little more closely to verify that. It is a bit darker, but you can control the gamma. So if it's too dark and you're having trouble seeing the board, you can switch it. And I will say that playing it on the Switch in handheld mode is really difficult because there's a lot going on these tables, just like in real pinball. And the ball moves very quickly. So even though there's a trail to kind of help you follow the ball or balls as they're moving around, it's still really hard to do on that tiny screen. So I would recommend playing it on your TV.
Yeah. Okay. And does that? I mean, TVs can't be rotated, so does that affect?
Yeah, in that case, they do a good job. Like on the Godzilla table, the pinball machine, it looks like it's set on Godzilla's back. So the playing table is in between the spikes on his back. And then off to the left and right, you see water. And then in the distance, it's like the landscape in Hong Kong where they had Godzilla and Kong had their big fight with Mechagodzilla.
Cool.
So they do use that extra space well. But speaking of the movie, one other thing I have to say is we've talked outside of the podcast about how much I can't stand that Godzilla versus King Kong movie.
Yes.
That was made in America as a Godzilla fan. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that anyone may have as to why. But one of the reasons is because the acting drove me nuts. And one of the things in Pinball FX of these Godzilla and King Kong tables is they have voiceovers, which are helpful because it's really good at telling you what you need to do as opposed to just like seeing what's flashing now or reading the instructions and understanding. Because, of course, in pinball, it's all about you hit a few targets, you unlock this, now you try to do this. And that's how you get your score up, is by hitting what you're supposed to hit in a certain order as opposed to just randomly keeping the ball in play as long as you can. But whoever they got to do the acting on this, I guess it's good in that their voices are as annoying as the actors were in those movies. Right. It was so bad that I feel bad because I don't want to knock the actors. but it just drove me nuts. And I had to turn the volume of the voiceover completely down because I couldn't play it with them on. And I thought, in a way, they perfectly captured the acting and the vocal work in the movies.
Yeah,
So I
okay.
guess kudos to them.
Yeah. Is it annoying in the sense that they're kind of overacting? Like are they
Yeah,
exaggerating? Yeah.
and I don't know. Like the first thing I did was try to see if I could have them do it in a different language.
Mm-hmm.
Because whenever I'm playing like a JRPG, I always play it with the Japanese voiceovers, because I think it just feels more right.
Mm-hmm.
But also because I can't, since I don't fully or even remotely understand the language as well, it's hard for me to understand if the inflection is annoying because I don't
Right.
know what they're saying. So I can't weigh in on that like I can with American actors. So,
Yes.
but I can't. It's only in English, from what I can tell. So.
Mm. Well, I don't know if that's going to help their little. What are they doing at the moment? They're on strike, aren't they? So,
Oh,
yes, maybe we won't go into
yeah.
that.
And I don't even necessarily blame the actors so much as that they're often just given really dumb lines to say. So it's like, how do you do this? Like, like even if you watch Star Wars and you see Harrison Ford struggling to deliver some of the lines that he had to
Yes.
deliver in that movie because they were just so dorky.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
I'm not specifically blaming the actors. It's just the way it feels within the context of the game just drives me
Mm-hmm.
nuts.
Yeah, fair enough. So there are no other language options, is what you're saying, though,
Yeah,
right?
not that I could find, at least in
Mm,
the Godzilla tables.
fair enough. Yeah. How many tables
Um,
are there altogether? Do you think there must be a lot?
well, they have quite a few. I'd say maybe a couple dozen right now that you could get with
Hmm.
Pinball FX. There are games based on, like, say, the Borderlands games.
Hmm.
There are some actual tables from that, one of the games that comes with it is Fish Tales, which was another very fun game to play in the arcade. So people who have ever been to a truck stop or
Mm,
any pinball hall might have played that, and it's a good game. So there are
cool.
a good mixture of games like that.
No Flash Gordon though.
No, I haven't seen a digital version of Flash Gordon, but I guess I don't really need it. They do have like Adam's Family is one of
Oh
them, and
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was an actual arcade game. And Twilight Zone is an
Oh
option you
yeah.
can get,
Cool.
and that's definitely one that's in the arcades as well.
Adam's
Or
Family, is that from like the 90s movie?
yes,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
I think I've seen that too. Around.
yeah.
Yeah. There
Oh
was a
yeah,
pin.
Adam's Family Values. The second one is a
Oh yeah.
fantastic movie.
Yeah.
So
I remember
funny.
enjoying it. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, it was I'm sure I liked it. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a pinball. There is a place not far from me that has old school arcade games and pinball machines, which is really cool. And I have a good friend who's quite into that and even participates in competitions like fun kind of leagues, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely alive and well, which is good to see. So there's
Yeah.
obviously a fan base for this kind of thing, which is why they keep making pinball FX games, I suppose. But yeah, it's funny they didn't call it something a bit more obvious, like maybe change the FX or call it FX Origins or I don't know, something because the 1, 2, 3 and then back to FX. That is
Yeah.
confusing. It's,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's. Now I'm assuming people eventually get the hang of it. And I guess they're starting fresh with a new gaming engine, so they wanted it to
mm,
feel that way. But yeah, just dropping back to FX, I feel like was not the best move. But we'll see.
yeah, I wonder if they're hoping to keep. I'm not sure why they changed engines or whatever. Like, but I don't know if they would hope to keep this one and then eventually transition all the existing content across or not. But I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so, or at least the ones that they, unless there's a rights issue, I can't imagine that
Mm,
because they changed the name or switched the engine that they lost the
hmm.
rights, or maybe that could be it too. Maybe the rights did run out for some of the machines, so they got to start over with new ones.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting. Who
which
knows?
would be
This.
sad because they have a lot of great content on those old ones. If you're a pinball fan and you want to try one of them, I would take a look at Pinball FX3.
Mhm.
In fact, let me see. I'm going to pull that up right now to make sure that's still available
Yeah, good point.
in the eShop.
But Zen Pinball FX, the new one, is still free to download for the actual default
Yes.
tables, and then you can add on your own ones.
Yep.
Pay for your own ones. Yeah, cool. I mean,
Yeah, it looks like FX3 is still available,
that's cool.
and that one, Pinball FX3. Yeah, that one's free to download also.
Mm.
And then most of the games you buy are via DLC. And of course, there's a ton of content. That one has, Universal Classics. So it's got like ET pinball machines and a Jaws pinball machine and the Williams machines, some old ones there. Yeah.
Cool. How much is
Yeah.
a pack?
Walking Dead pinball.
Oh yeah.
The kits, depending on how many you get, they can be as low as $9.99.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get a few for that. And like there's they also come in bundles where you can pay as much as $30
Mm-hmm.
for quite a few machines at once. They do often have sales. So
Mm.
if you wait for a sale, you could get them. In fact, there's one here right now, Pinball FX Williams Pinball Volume 5 is normally $9.99. It's on sale right now for $3.99.
Mm. That's a good deal.
And that one includes actual Williams machines, the machines made by the Williams Company,
Right.
um, like Tales of the Arabian Nights, Circus Voltaire, and No Good Gophers. I don't know No Good Gophers, but I've definitely played the other two.
Okay. Cool. Thanks. Yeah, that's awesome. So I look forward to seeing your full review then of Zen Pinball FX. Are you doing it collaboratively with Trev?
We're going to do another tag team review where we talk about the
Nice.
machines that we played, but it's mostly
Yeah.
going to be a review of the engine itself, and then we'll just
Hmm.
talk about how it affected the games that we had.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that'll be really interesting to see to read. Yeah, what you guys think of it overall. Definitely when that's available. But FX is out now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it just came out last week, didn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I'm not playing a whole lot, but I am playing a little game for review, which is called Bleak Sword DX. And I wanted to ask, actually, speaking of Apple Arcade, have you heard of this before? Because I believe it's an Apple Arcade title.
I have
That's
not.
no, I hadn't heard of it either. Anyway, it's how do I describe it? It's I suppose it's an action arcade kind of game with a few little RPG elements. Essentially, you're a sword wielding hero on a quest to save the world from this cursed blade, which is the bleak sword, which is kind of taken over. There's a king who's been cursed with this blade, and for the last 200 years, there's been nothing but anarchy across the land. So you've received a prophecy via a vision, and you're now you know where these three magical stones are that you need to retrieve to destroy this bleak sword. Essentially, that's the story. But what really sets this one apart is probably its style, its graphical style. It's a very retro looking game, like very very simple graphics, black and white and red,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. So your character is white. You know the ground is kind of black, and there's trees that are white and other little elements. And then when you attack or get attacked, there's red, for blood, or your enemies also flash red when they're sort of close to dying. So there's a few little red touches. Which really highlight different elements nicely. It looks really cool. I mean, I like the retro style very much, and there's a lot of content as well. I think it's 12 worlds of 10 levels each, I believe. So 120 levels all up. And it's kind of like you go into world one, which is like a forest, and it's 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, right up to 110. So each level has a number, and the 10th level has a boss fight. And it's really cool, the style where each level is kind of just like a square, I guess, a block. You don't really go left or right, as in the screen doesn't scroll. You just set in your little zone for that level, and enemies appear, and then you take them out. And once you defeat all the enemies within that level, it's victory time. So there's a tutorial which is optional, which is really cool. I like that it's like, have you played this before? Yes or no. I hadn't, so I did the tutorial, which gets you up to speed on the moves, and then you jump straight in. And the first few levels are very, very easy. There's just a few bats to kill, so you kind of ease into it, but it ramps up pretty quickly and becomes quite difficult. Which is good because 120 levels, I suppose, could pass pretty quickly since there are
Yeah.
only one screen's worth of action. I'm only up to world 2 anyway. I've only just sort of started this one, but it's really fun so far. I think I possibly might get a bit repetitive is my only. I mean, I haven't spent a whole lot of time with it, so far I'm fine. But I'm wondering after 12 worlds, I don't know what's left to experience. The worlds are definitely themed. So there was a forest, World 2 is a swamp. The rest are all locked, so I don't know what they are yet. But we'll see how that because you're dealing with very limited color palette and screen size. There's not a whole lot you can do, but the enemies are varied so far, even just through 11 or 12 levels. There's bats, there's spiders, there's these kind of weird night creatures, there's some sort of weird, I don't know, beetle looking thing. So that even after only sort of 12 levels, it's very, the enemies do vary quite wildly. The boss fight that I've only had one so far, was pretty difficult. It took me quite a few goes to beat the first boss, so I can only imagine how that will ramp up. And you can choose a difficulty level. There were 3 options, but the third one is blocked, which is, I think it's there's normal, doom, I think, and then the third one is something like
something harder than Doom.
Yeah, exactly, right. So
hopeless.
Hopeless, exactly. So I chose normal, and I'm glad I did because it's pretty hard, I'd say. So I can only imagine how hard Doom is. But you do. I mentioned RPG elements there. You sort of you level up after each level. Like you get experience points, and you level up after you gain enough experience points. You randomly find items which give you more attack or defense power or health. So there's a few little touches like that which keep things interesting. From what I can tell, you can only hold 2 items at once, though, so I'm not sure what happens when you get 3. And when you die, I was worried I'd have to start from the beginning, which I didn't want to do, but you don't. You get to keep going from where you left off, which is cool. You do lose your experience points, though, and your items, so that's a bit of a pain. But and I thought, you get one chance to keep them. So say you're on level 1-8, you die, you go back into 1-8. If you complete it, the very next time you play, you keep all your experience points and your items. If you die again, you lose it all, but you still have your progress. So you're still in 1-8, but now you don't have your weapons, which to
Does
me
that
is,
make it really hard to
yeah.
progress, though? I mean, if you lose your weapons, aren't you screwed?
That's exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, if I couldn't do it with the experience, like with the weapons, how am I going to do it without it? So I don't know how that's going to work, especially if you get down to like world 10, 11, 12. I don't know how you can possibly just be on the default attack power and still conquer these things. So we'll see what happens when I get to that point. I was able to. I think I did lose all my stuff at one point, like 1-6 or 1-7 or something. And then the boss fight 1-10, which I died several times. I don't think I lost my experience that time. Maybe because it's a boss fight, they're a bit more fair with those ones. They expect you to die. Anyway, it's interesting, and I definitely love the style, as I said. So I'll be working on my review during the next week and get that up online ASAP. That one's available now, though. I think it's about $10. I think I checked it out on the eShop. I think it's around
Yeah, $9.99.
$9.99. Yeah, which seems pretty fair given the amount of content. 120 levels is a good amount, and I think there's a few other modes as well, I believe, which I haven't tested yet. So
yeah, I also see here, I pulled it up, and I should point out to anyone who may have played it on Apple Arcade that the Switch version does have new options, things that you didn't have before. So if you liked it there, it's got more to do.
Yes, which is cool. I guess that's why it's called Bleak Sword DX, which is what Deluxe, right? So it's the deluxe version of the game you may know and love on Apple Arcade. So yeah, but it's a pleasant surprise. I saw it and thought, yeah, this looks interesting. It reminds me a little bit of what was it called? Apple Slash, a game that I played a year or two ago that I really enjoyed. A little bit like that. It's not side scrolling like that one was, but it's aesthetically very similar, black, white, and red. Yeah, so we'll see how we go. Stay tuned. The other thing I wanted to briefly mention, and this would have been a good question for Justin, but I wondered if anyone, and by anyone I mean you, Kirk, since it's just you and me, I had heard of Pokémon Sleep, which is a new app that is kind of out, but not. It's like in beta testing. I couldn't download it. I tried to, and it said it'll let me know when it's available. It is appearing on the Australian Google Play Store, at least. But yeah, you can sort of ask for it to be downloaded when it's available. But it seems like it's a sleep tracking app with the Pokemon flavor, I suppose. I haven't tried it, so I can't speak to how good it is, but it sounds interesting. I mean, I don't currently monitor my sleep. Do you monitor your sleep?
I do not, but I'm also of the age where when I want to go to sleep, and sometimes when I don't, I'll hit it hard and I'm fine. So there's not a lot to track.
That's good. That's nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty similar. I've not always been the best sleeper, I guess, but I tend to like toss and turn a bit. It depends. If there's something big on the next day, it'll keep me awake. But usually I sleep fairly well.
Yeah.
When you've got kids and work and other things, you sort of get tired. Yeah. I think I do fall asleep a lot more easily now than I used to, maybe. But anyway, I'm going to give it a try anyway. So I'll report back and see what it's like. Anything Pokemon themed is going to catch my attention, I guess, just because I like Pokemon, and I think I mentioned to you off air, like before the show, that we have a little app called Pokemon Smile, which is it's for kids. It's to help them brush their teeth properly, essentially. So it's actually really cool. It's got, I don't know what the technology is called, but it's like, so it's on my phone. So I just put my phone up every night, and Hayden uses it, and you can choose your character from like a set of, I think it's like Eevee, Pikachu, Squirtle, and one other, I think. And that's your character. And your character, there's like a screen of like a picture of you. It's like a mirror image of you, like a camera, I suppose. And you have different hats that you collect, which is really cute. And Eevee is like, it's very cartoony. It's not like, it doesn't look like the normal Eevee that you would see if you, and I know Pokemon is a cartoon, but it's an even cuter, cartoonier version of Pokemon, like almost chibi or something. It's like they're rounded with little eyes. They're very cute. It's adorable. And there's a Pokemon each time you brush your teeth that is like attacking your teeth in a cute way, and your Pokemon is attacking the kind of purple, gloomy, grimy stuff around the attacking Pokemon. Does this make sense to you? So, and you have a little diagram that shows you, okay, brush like top left, right? You do that for like 10 seconds, and then top middle. And so it's telling you where to put your toothbrush. So it's like guiding you, right? And you can set the time. So we do like a 2-minute brush. So Hayden brushes his teeth for 2 minutes. And you're getting all the right spots because you have to follow what Eevee tells you to do. Eevee's saying brush here now. And when you brush in the right spot, Eevee sends this little blast of energy towards the grime and cleans the Pokemon for you, basically. And at the end, you get to catch the Pokemon, and it becomes part of your Pokedex. So it's a really cute little incentive for kids to brush their teeth. I really think it's really nice. It's a nice little app. So anything that's kind of, it's not exactly educational, I suppose, but it's kind of health education, I suppose, right? So maybe Pokemon Sleep is of that vein, where it's, make sure you go to bed at a certain time, try to get your 8 to 10 hours sleep, depending on your age. And I can't see how a phone app would monitor how well you sleep, because it's not like it's monitoring your heartbeat or anything. But yeah.
It'd have to be like connected to a watch or something. I mean, I'm assuming that you would just tell it when you're going to bed and then tell it when you woke up. But even then, it's not going to be fully accurate, because you'd have to tell it when you lay down and hope you fall asleep quickly. Maybe that's not the case. So.
Yeah.
But they've probably figured all this out.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll download it when I can. I mean, I've already registered, so we'll see what that's like. But I think it's anything that helps people be healthy is a good thing, and if it has a Pokemon slant, then all the better. So yeah.
And I think it also, like we were talking about with the Baby Shark game, it's a good way to teach kids to use their phone for something a little more helpful than what they may be using it for, or their iPod and such. So
that's true.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, that'll be interesting. I'll let you know when that actually is available. I don't know if there's a date on that one, but yeah. Any other games that you're playing at the moment that you wanted to talk about?
No, I'm pretty much kind of at this point, aside from focusing on like the pinball game that I'm reviewing, and there's another one I just grabbed but haven't gotten started on yet. So I'm kind of keeping things clear for Pikmin 4.
Which is
I want to make sure I don't have too much on my plate when that rolls around.
Yeah, well, that's out next week, isn't it? Or this week? It's a week away, basically.
Friday.
Yeah.
I've got my pre-order in this time at Best Buy, and I'm going to get my Pikmin tote with it.
Nice. That's cool. I think here we have a notepad or something that's available for with pre-orders. So yeah, but a tote is useful. Yeah. Well, I guess next week, yeah, we'll be talking about that. We probably won't have had a lot of time with it when we record, but that's okay. We'll see how we go. Well, thank you, Kurt, for joining me this week, the Kirk and Jemma show. uh, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in. If you like what you hear, please leave us a review on any of the podcasting channels or like and subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss out. We do air every Monday. And I guess until next week, game on. Bye for now.